Hello, everyone, and welcome to our SAFI webinar series. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. So just before we get started, I wanted to introduce myself. So my name is Atman Lawati, and I am a software developer at SAFI for almost 10 years. And I work mainly on all the developments related to TSE, which is our product for tower structures, so telecommunication and transmission towers. And today we are going to focus in this webinar about all the new features that we added in the latest version, which is the version 14.1, which include mainly the new custom report feature and also the automatic generation of attachments. So let's start. So what we are going to see today, the first we are going to do a brief recap of the major updates in this version. Then we will see the new feature of custom report, and we'll do a live demonstration to show all the features that we added to TSE, including with the custom tables and also the grouping feature. And I will also touch on the auto generation of appurtenances for latticed tower and monopole structures. So as I said, the major updates for the new version of TSE, the version 14.1, it includes the updates of the American code, ISCE 48, so the latest version 2019. So we updated the previous version, which was 2015, to include the new version. And we also added some new feature related to spatial objects that are used to model the different type of appurtenances. So now we added the option to ignore the wind and the ice on feed lines, and this is very useful, especially for monopoles, where the feed lines are located inside the tube. We also added the auto generation of feed lines to monopole and auto generation of appurtenances or discrete attachments for monopoles and lattice structures. And we also have diagrams, so deflections and forces diagram for monopoles. So regarding the new custom report feature, so this is a major update and for the report feature that we have in SAFI. So now the user has the possibility to customize the report, so he can select which table he want to add to the report, and also he can organize the report by changing the order of the tables. He has also the ability to add titles to our headings in the report, so the reports will be formatted in a better way. And also there is a new feature which allows the user to customize for each table which columns will be added to the report or not. So you can hide or display a specific column from a table in a report. And we are going to see that in the live demo in a couple of minutes. Another feature that we added also to the latest version include the grouping. So the grouping feature applies to either for the numerical tables, or we can also use it for when we generate a report. So what it does, it basically groups the results according to different features. So you can group them to members or physical members, or you can create your custom groups and group the results to be displayed only for the groups, which make the results more like the result table smaller, and it's easy to interpret. Another important feature that we added, which is the auto generation of discrete attachments, which is antennas, dishes, or any other discrete attachment on the tower. This new feature, we can use it for latticed towers and also for monopoles. Another update that we added to this version, it's related to the American Code for Telecommunication Tower, the TIA22H Addendum 1. So the Addendum 1, the major difference between the Addendum 1 and the previous version is related to the anchor rod design check. So we updated the design check according to this to the Addendum 1. So that's one of the new updates that we added to the latest version. There are many other user interface or graphical user interface feature, including, so now for antennas and feed lines, there is an option to specify a category. So it's existing if this attachment is an existing attachment on the tower or proposed or reserved on the tower. So, and depending on this category, there is a color associated to that category that can be user defined. And we also added, enhanced our this camera feature. So now just by using just a few clicks, you are able to display or hide any part of the tower, including the members or the surface loads or the spatial object. So without waiting longer, so let's start our demo and let's dive in the new features of this version of TSE. So this is I have a model here which is a latticed tower, and the first thing I wanna just show. So if you can see here, one thing that we can remark is this the colors, that there are different colors for the attachments. We can see green and blue and orange. So if we double click on any spatial object, so we can see here now that we have a default color that is assigned depending on the category. So we have a new parameter that is available in spatial objects that you can change, and depending on this parameter, the display color of each attachment will be changed. And this is it helps the user to see which attachment is an existing one or new one that you want to add to the tower, just by looking to the structure. The new feature for auto generation. So we can, if we go to the tower toolbar, so this toolbar here, so now there is a new button that we added here, which is automatic antenna definition. And it helped the user now create the antennas very fast. So to create an antenna, you just need to create a new tab here. And from this tab, you select the column, and you can also assign a category to this antenna or this attachment. And from that, you can simply specify where do you want to generate this attachment. So you can specify the reference, is it a leg or a face? And depending on the option that we select here, you will have more options. So if you select, for example, the leg, the option leg, so we can pick which leg we want to generate the antenna from. And after we pick the leg, so we have to specify the elevation of this attachment, and we can also add an offset, which we have a perpendicular offset in the direction of the red arrow that we see here, and we have also a transverse and a vertical offset. And we can also modify the azimuth angle of the antenna, so by specifying it here. So this way, it's super easy to add antennas, and after we finish adding the antenna, we just click on generate, and these antennas will be generated automatically. So another way to add antenna, so we can do it directly from this dialog box, or we can do it using tables. And tables in SAFI are very powerful because we have many built-in features that help you copy, paste, and apply many modification to the data very easily. So so we can also, if you prefer working with tables, you can create the antennas directly from this table. So this is we are going to do a small example on how to create an antenna and generate it automatically. So for example, here we have this latticed tower, and we want to add a few antennas on this tower. So we are going to use this the command automatic antenna generation. So first we select the antenna here, and then we select the face. And after that, we select the elevation. So for example, let's say it's 100 feet here. And we also we can specify the offsets from the face. Since we specify we pick the option and offset from the face, so we can specify this variable delta n. So in this case, if we use the value 6, it will be 6 inches from the face. And we can also add a transverse offset, so delta p that we see here, for example, 12 inches. And we can also add an offset in the y direction, so a vertical. So for example, let's say 10 inches. And if we want to add an angle to the antenna, we can do it right away. So after doing that, we just click on generate, and the antenna should be generated right away from here. And something that we can see also when we generate the antenna, it's attached to the main legs of the tower. So all the load will be transferred to the legs, which is what usually we do in these cases. So this is the automatic generation of antennas for latticed towers. Now let's move on to the monopole structures. So for the monopoles, we have a similar function, and this function we will find it on the tubular toolbar, and it is just next to the monopole definition. So it's this button here. It has the same name, which is automatic antenna definition. And for the monopoles, it's just a table that you are going to enter all the information. So basically, you will specify, assign the antenna properties. You select also the category, and we have the elevation. So, and in this case, since it's a tube, so we don't really have faces. So we specify an angle of reference. So this angle from of reference alpha that we see here. So when it's 0, which means this antenna or attachment will be generated parallel to the axis X. And after that, we have different offsets, which are similar to the one that we saw for the case of latticed tower. So we have a radial offset, we have transverse offset, and a vertical offset. And the last variable that we have here is the azimuth angle. So you can specify change the angle, the orientation of the antenna right away from here. And after we finish that, we just to generate these antennas, it will be generated automatically when we generate the monopole. So this is I think this feature of auto generation of antenna will be a very useful and productive feature that everyone will enjoy. And we'll keep adding more features to enhance the productivity of our users. So now let's move on to the next important updates that we added in the latest version. So which is the custom report. And the custom report, it's a new overhaul type of report that we can create using TSE. So this command, you can see it's right next to the previous report command that we had in different application of SAFI. So to generate a report, you can just click on this button here. And here you can see, so in this dialog box, you have the left hand side part of it, where you can pick a table. So you have the list of all the available tables in SAFI. So, and depending on the category, so if we have a category for geometry and load. So for example, this category includes all the tables of joints, members, section, loads, static loads, and so on. Basic loads, load combination. So we can find them in this category. We have the analysis results category, which include all the tables in the analysis results. And we have these two other categories, which the first one, which is tower and telecom design. These are the results related to latticed towers, and then the second one includes all the tables that are related to the tubular module. So the input data for the tubular or the monopole towers and the design results. So basically, to create your reports, what you need to do, you will have to add the tables manually. So we already have some presets that are built in, so you can pick right away from here. So for example, for the latticed tower, we have a condensed report, which it includes the minimal, most important information in it. And we have a more extensive report, which is this option that you have here. And the same thing we have for monopoles. So, but basically, if you want to create your own reports, you can do it easily. So the process how to do it is you go select your table. So for example, let's say I want to add the project in description as the first table here in this report. So you just select it from here and you click on this arrow and you can add it right away here to this report. And you can do the same thing with other tables as well. So for example, let's say you want to add the materials. So I'm going to select materials, I add them here. Let's say I will do the same thing for the section. I want to add section summaries. And you can also do this operation by selection. So you can select, for example, mini tables and add them right away in this table. Then after that, when we generate this report, so let's turn off this option. So to have the time to visit all the available options. So if I click generate, so now we will see the new report that's generated. So it's the main difference that we can see here is the order of the table. So now it's followed the order that we specified in the custom report dialog box. And another feature that we have now, let's, for example, add a little bit more results. For example, let's say we want to add for the tower, we will add the limit state, for example. You can add in the custom report headings for sections in your report. So to add a heading, you can select it right away from here and add it. Or you can do it also manually. So to do it manually, so let's delete this one. To do it manually, you can just click on this button here and we call it separator, and you can give it a title, for example, limit state table. So we call it like that, and you will see it appears right away here. So now if we add a table, let's say after this one, we add, for example, compression. And then when we generate our report again, so let me just close this one. So I will generate the report again. And now you can see that I have a new section here, and the table of compression, it will display just right after it. So I'm going to run the analysis. So we can have the results for the limit state. And then we can see that how the new custom reports organize the tables. Okay, so now let's generate the report again, and now here we click on generate. Oh, I think I understand why, because I think this table is for the tower. Okay, that's my bad. Let's go to tubular, and we add this table here, and now we should be able to generate this table. Okay, so now you see we generated the table we added after the new heading that we added in this reports. We generated the comparison table. So another feature that we added in this new custom reports feature, which is generate the report only for the critical limit state. So here we have a new option that is available. So when you generate the report, you can generate it without, like the previous report we had in SAFI. So if I pick this option here, you will see a report for all the load combination. So all the results for the load combination will be in this table. So like as we see here, so it will be a very long table because we have over 50 load combination. And this is not very useful, especially when we are generating reports. So now the new feature that is available here, you can generate the limit state tables only for the critical limit state. So if we pick filtered on elements, so in this case, it will filter on all the members. So let's look to the difference now. So now if we go again to this compression table, so we can see now in this report, this table is very short and it's only display the critical load combination for the compression limit state. The other feature that we can do is we can filter them instead of elements, we can filter them by physical members. So for example, in this model, we have, I think, 6 physical members. So instead of generating the table for each member, we will group it on only the physical members. So if I generate the option on physical, using the physical members, the report in this case, it will be a lot shorter. So in this case, if we open it again and we go back to the comparison table, you see the table is shorter and we have only a unique ID of the physical members. And for the members, we will just use the critical member ID to display the limit states for that specific member. Okay, so this another feature that we have also is the grouping. So and the grouping feature, this is very useful, especially when we are working with latticed tower. So I'm going to open this latticed tower, and now if let's generate a report and let's see the difference between these features. I'm going to just delete those, so to have a shorter report, so we can see the difference of this feature. So I just kept the compression in this case, but I'm going to deactivate the grouping, and I will generate the report here. And let's see the difference between these two features, because the grouping, what it does is we use the selection group in SAFI. And for example, if we look to the compression here, so we can see now when we activate the grouping, instead of generating the the results for all the members of the structures. So we will use the different group that are available. So when we generate the structure, automatically we generate these groups. So, and these groups correspond to the different segments in the model. So if I go to the groups, selection group, so we can see the groups. So each group of members that correspond to each segment. And when we generate the report, what we do is for each group, we just pick the critical member, and we will display the results in a shorter table. So basically, instead, if you have 1,000 member in your model, instead of having a table of 1,000 row, you will have a table with a few rows that correspond to the number of segments in your model. So basically, that's the grouping feature. And we have also a new option, which is generate a compact report. So when this activated, many columns in the report will be hidden. So for example, if I deactivate this option, so we will have a similar table to the previous version of TSE. So let me just close the document to generate it again. So now if I generate a report without this compact report option, so all the columns that we have in each table will be displayed. And in most cases, that's not what we want, because we have a lot of, in SAFI, we display a lot of information in each table to help the user to understand the results. So for example, if we go here to, let's say to, if we go to this command here, when we activate, for example, for the connections, we see that this table, it has the rows, we have many columns on this table. So we have maybe over 20 rows, but this is not very useful when we generate a report. So to generate a more compact report, so you can simply do that by enabling this option, which is generate compact report. And when you select this option and you generate the report, so in this case, the tables, we just keep the most important columns in each table. So for example, for limit state, we just keep the forces, the resistance, and the limit state, and all the other information that are in the table, it will be hidden in the report. So for example, now if we go back to this report again, for example, if we look to the same table, this is the connection limit state table. Now it's very short, and we just keep the most important and relevant information to the user. So that's why the report is very compact, and instead of having maybe a few hundred pages report, you can generate a report of like 10, 15, 20 pages just by enabling this feature of compact report. So for another feature that we added for the custom report, so for each table now the user he has the possibility to specify manually for each table what columns he wanna include in the final report. So for example, if we go to compression, so if we click here on compression, so you will have this button that is available, and from this button you can force any columns to be hidden in the report. So let's say if in a specific table you wanna have a specific set of columns that will be included in that table, you can come here and just select them right away from here. And like that, when you generate your reports, you will have exactly the report with the exact information that you wanna have. So that's a look for the custom report. So for the load combination, you can, when we generate the load combination, the reports, you can generate them for all the load. By default, it generates for all the load combination. If you want to generate the reports for a specific set of load combination, you can specify them right away from here. So it will filter the load combination, and it's the same thing for the basic loads. So the user has now more control on what type of information and what's the order of the information that will be included in the report. And after you finish creating your custom report and specifying all the information for each table, so we added a feature to save this preset, so you can use it later on in your next models that you will be doing. So for example, let's say I want to save this specific custom report template that I created. So you can simply click on this button, and I can call it here template. And after that, when you save it, this template will be available right away from here. So this is usually you will create your personalized template or your custom template just once. It may take you a few minutes to do that, but after that it will save you time because you will just reuse the same template, and it will be just easier for you to do that. So this is the custom report. This is the custom report feature. So now if I open just to look a little bit in more details on the custom report for latticed tower. So I'm going just to open this preset. I will just generate a report, and I will just walk you through the changes that we did specifically regarding the grouping feature. So now when we generate the report, you will see specifically for the limit state tables. Now the results are grouped depending on the member type. So for example, if you have a leg or you have a diagonal, so this table will be grouped independently. So if we go, for example, to the compression limit state, so so in the compression limit state, you can see here this table. Now we have a mini subtable. So we have a table for the column diagonal, we have one for column leg, and we have one for diaphragm frame. So for example, if we look to this to the result that we have here, so for each segment, we selected the critical member, which is in this case, for example, number 96, and we displayed the limit states for that critical member. So that this way you can have more information, which member, what is the critical what is the critical member, and also what type of member. Is it a diagonal, or is it a leg, or is it a horizontal? So basically, by activating this grouping feature, now you will have a more comprehensive information in the tables that you will generate, and it help you create a report that is very easy to read. So this is the grouping feature. Now, the last thing we added also, this is specifically for TSE. So this, in the reports, you have the option to include the diagrams. So for the people who don't know, in TSE we can generate tension, so forces and deflection diagram. To generate those diagrams, you click on this button here, and you will have the deflection diagram. So you can click on this one, and you can see the total deflection on the structure. You can also see in what direction, X or Z, or you can see it as a ratio divided by the total height of the structure. And we can also display the tension compression diagrams. And for the tension compression diagram, we can display them for different type of members. So for legs, for diagonals, and horizontals. So for each one of them, we will have a different type of diagram. So these diagrams can be very useful to include in the report. So, and that's why we added in the new custom report feature, so the possibility to add this type of report. So when we go to the category tower telecom or tubular design, if we go to the bottom, so you will see here these two titles, which is tension compression diagram and deflection diagram. So even if they are not a table, but you can add them to your report at the end, and when you add them, they will be added automatically to the report. So if we go here down, all the diagrams that we generate, either for deflection or for forces, tension compression diagrams, they will be added here automatically in this diagram, in this report. So that way, the report will contain more useful information for the reader. So basically, these are the most important feature that we added in the TSE in TSE, the latest version. So including the auto generation of antennas and the custom reports. We added few enhancements to the graphical user interface, and one of them is related to the display. So for example, if we look to this tower, if you want to display the limit state, so you see, because we have a lot of attachment to this tower, it's a little bit hard to see the maximum limit state for specific for all the members. So what we did is we added a new this button on the camera toolbar. So usually in the previous version, this button, we use it to switch between a solid view or wireframe view. But we in the latest version, we added more options. So for example, for spatial objects, you have option to hide completely antennas if you want to, right away from here. So you just come to spatial objects and you select the type of spatial objects you want to hide, and in few clicks, or like 1 or 2 clicks, you are able to hide them. So it help you analyze your results in like visually in an easier way. And you have more options that you can activate or deactivate right away from here. So for example, if I zoom a little bit here, let's say this continuous blue line, which are the links. So usually they point to the joints that are the joints that will receive the loads on this attachment. So if you want to hide them from the structure, you can simply go here to spatial object, you go to antenna here, and you can specify links and just hide them. So it will create, maybe it's sometimes it's easier to work that way. So let me just activate them again. So this is more for a graphical user interface. Now related to the numerical tables. So when we display the numerical table, for example, let's say we want to see the compression table. So in this case, you will have some of the features that we just visited in the report option. So one of them is you can generate the reports for all the load for the critical combination only. So if you want to generate it for the critical combination only, you can filter on elements. You select this option, and if we click OK, let's pick just one load combination. Well, let's keep this one and we click OK. So this will be a big table because we have a lot of members in the model. So let's give it a few seconds to load. So you see here we have a table. So we have all the members in this model, and we display only the critical limit states. And we see here the critical load combination that we see for the corresponding critical load combination. So we have a table of 384, which is the total number of members in this model. We have another options to use, which is when we generate this table, instead of filtering on elements, we can filter on physical members. So this will generate a smaller, shorter table, because many members can be composed of many physical members can be composed of many numbers. So for example, here we have only 177 rows, and the most compact option is to generate this table using the groups. So the groups are just a reminder. These groups, when you generate the tower automatically, they will be generated like for each segment, but you can also create them manually. So you can create your own groups and you can use them to create your tables that are filtered by groups. So, and when we select this option of groups, so here we will see a shorter table. So because we have, I think in this model, maybe we have 12 segments. So the table that we have here, it's a very compact table and it's easy to interpret. For example, to see the maximum limit state, you just click on here, and now you have the ID of the member that has the critical limit states and also the load combination right away from here. So yeah, this feature of grouping are also available for numerical tables that you can use, and they are very they help interpret the results very easily, because you don't have to read in a lot like very large tables. So I think we covered a lot of information in this so far. So just a recap of what we covered today. So basically, the latest version of TSE, the version 14.1, that I invite every one of you to update to this version. So we added two main important features, which is the new custom reports. So it allows you to create very compact reports and also give you the possibility to customize the type of tables that will be included in the reports. You can also change the order of the tables, you can add headings, and also you can customize which column will be displayed or hidden in any specific table. And we also added the auto generation of a discrete attachment. So in antennas, dishes, and all different type of discrete attachments in TSE. Now you can generate them automatically, either for latticed tower or monopoles. And we also we updated a few codes, so including the TIA22H, the Addendum one, and also we updated the transmission code, so the American code for transmission poles, which is ISCE 48, the update 2019. So this is the most important features that you will see in the latest version in our software. So now I will just check if we have any questions in our chat. So if we have any questions, I will gladly answer these questions. And if, however, so let me check the questions. Okay, so I think there is a question. Someone he asked if we can do guy masts. So yes, definitely. So I can just show you quickly the feature that we have. So I think we have already an example that we provide with the sample example that we have with SAFI. So to create guy masts, so basically it's the same process to create a regular tower. The only difference is how to create the guys, and the feature we have a specific command here on this toolbar to auto-generate guys on towers. So basically, it's simply you specify which column you are generating on them. You specify the guy elevation, and after that, you have to specify the type of guy mount. So if you want to mount it on the corner, so it will look like that, or on the face, or you have a torque arm. So in this case, you will generate these black members automatically, or you have a different shape of a torque arm. And for each option, you will have sub categories too. For example, for the torque arm, you can generate them with a shape of a wing, or a bat, we call it a bat ear or dog ear, or a cantilever. And for each specific option, you will have an extra parameters to specify. So for example, for the torque arm, you need to specify the sections that will be assigned to these members. And you can also check the connections. For example, if you want to specify a connection schema, so you specify how many bolts that you used for each member, you can specify them, and we can do the check of these connections automatically when we specify, when we do the design check. And the last parameter to specify is the cable, or the cable section. So we have a library of cables that is available in SAFI, but if the cable that you want to use doesn't exist, you can simply create one by creating a custom cable, and it's super easy. You just need to specify the diameter and the area and assign a material, and after that you can assign it right away here. And you can also specify the initial tension. By default, many codes suggest to use 10%, but you can change it if you need to. And for the force coefficient, it's automatically calculated according to the code, but you can also override the value, the default value here. So, and basically for each elevation of the guys, like here we have 3 elevation. We just add a new tab for each elevation and specify the different parameter for each guy. So yeah. So I think that's answered the question related to the guy mast. So if there are no more questions, I invite you to, if you have a minute or two, to take the time to visit this link that we have here on screen. So it's you have a QR code that is there is let me see. I think there are more questions. Okay, I think here I see more questions. So give me a second. I will go over them. So there's a question here that someone asked. Can we open the modeling you did on SAP 2000 program as well? So you mean in TSE, we can import models from SAP 2000, but we don't export directly to SAP. So we have different export options, but we don't export directly to SAP 2000. So yeah, and the last one, there is a suggestion. You can send, so suggestion is that you can send the update features of the software, and now when it gets updated to all the regular user of the software. So what you saw today, so the version TSE 14.1.1 is available to all our users. So you should receive, if you didn't already receive, a link from us to download this this update. So if you if you didn't, we can send you the link to update it. So that is should be available to everyone now. Okay, so let me see if there are more questions. Okay, I think I answered all the questions. So okay, so I don't think we have any more questions so far. Yeah, I think last thing before ending this webinar, so you have a link here. You can scan this QR code. It will you can open this link and you have a form to fill, so you can give us feedback and also subscribe to get new information regarding all the new features that we will have in the software. My colleague just mentioned me that there is a new question. So yeah, there is a question, a last question. Someone asked if we can design the members with climbing load plus tension or climbing plus compression load. So this is a good question. So in TSE, you can automatically when you design a lattice tower, so we can here add a concentrated design load, and this concentrated design load will simulate the climbing load. So that's the option that we have. You can specify it right away here, and we will use it when we check the members for tension and compression. So yeah, so that's how where you design the concentrated design load. And another question I just pop up is someone asking if we can do other limit states, so including the bending and the combined limit state. Yes, we can do that, and by default in SAFI, if you go to design code parameters, so by default you will have an option here that is usually it's checked. So when we check this option, so it automatically we automatically ignore bending, shear, and torsion, which is the case in most lattice towers. But if you wanna design the bending and shear and torsion, or you can do that by unchecking this option. And when you uncheck this option, so when you do the design, so if I run the analysis of this model. So let's do, even if it should be a nonlinear analysis, but just to see the results quickly. So we can see you can display the other limit states, including bending, shear, tension and bending, and compression and bending. So all these limit states will be available. So if you look here, you will see all these limits that will be available as well. So including bending and combined bending, shear, torsion, warping. So all these limit states, you can design them as well. So another question, I have now a series of questions that are coming. So one of them is asking about the fatigue for monopoles. Yes, the fatigue was added in the version 14, and I can just show you how to do that. So for the fatigue, so if we open this model, so if we are using the Canadian code or the US code, you will have few different options that are available. So to generate the fatigue, so basically when we generate the load using the command of auto generation, so when of wind load. So when we do the auto generation of wind load, you will have a new parameter that's available here, which is fatigue parameter. So when you check this option, it will automatically generate a load combination for fatigue. So if we check, for example, the load combination, you will see there is a new type of load combination that is available. So if we go to the bottom, you will see the fatigue load combination. And the fatigue is checked only for the load combination that have this specific combination type. So a combination type fatigue. And for the fatigue load, for the TIA22H, it's simply we apply a wind load, but for the Canadian code for S37, so for the S37 we can apply two type of fatigue load. So we have the option to apply a gust wind load, and also we can apply a vortex shedding. So for the vortex shedding, we have a built-in calculator to calculate the vortex shedding, depending on using the equations of the Annex N of the S3718. So you can specify few input parameters, including, for example, the diameter of the top third of the structure, the frequency, the natural frequency of the structure. The natural frequency, you can obtain it by doing a frequency analysis, and you will and the other parameters will be calculated automatically. When this value is calculated, when you click OK, it will be this field will be filled automatically, and then when we generate the loads, so we will have basic wind load for the vortex shedding. So if we display the loads for this specific model, so this is the wind load for fatigue, so wind gust. So it shows like that. Let's just display this one. So this is for the fatigue wind gust, and for the other type of fatigue load for the vortex shedding, so we apply a uniform load on the top third of the tower. So we can generate it automatically, and after that, for to check the fatigue, so we need to specify different threshold, so fatigue threshold, stress threshold. So for the members, when you generate the monopole automatically, you will have few default parameters to specify. So what is the fatigue threshold stress for if you have a flange plate, if you have a weld, or if you have slip splice, or if you have and for the base plate. And these values will be used to check the fatigue. And for each member, if you specify a connection, so for example, in this case, you have a slip splice, you can override this default value. So you can come here and specify your value, the value manually of the fatigue threshold. And then when you generate your monopole and you do the analysis, you will be able to check the fatigue for these members with respect to the input parameters that we did. So to see the fatigue parameters after the generation, we have this button here, and when you open it, you can see for each member, so what is the maximum stress that is specified at the end of each member. You can also access these parameters by when you access the attributes of each member. So if you double click on a member, you can go to the tubular toolbar, and on the tubular toolbar you will see this part here, which is fatigue parameters at the member start and at the member end. So you can also edit those parameters manually at each member end. So you can, for example, if you want to check this member, the second the G end of this member, you want to check the fatigue, you can activate it just by selecting an option, and you specify a value here, maximum threshold, and automatically we will check the fatigue at the end of this member by using this value that we specified here. So I think that answered the question related to the fatigue. So there is a question someone asked, is it possible to design a multi-sided polygonal pole for high voltage line? If yes, could the pole have different section on top of the bottom? Yes, we can do that. And this model, for example, that we see here, if I just hide the antenna. So if you look closely, we can see here on the bottom, in the top we have a circular a tube, and at the bottom we have a polygonal section. So when you create your the pole structure, so you have option to all the available section are here. So we have all the polygonal section from 6 sides to 24 sides, and you can also specify a circular or a square number of sites. So this is available. And so another question related to the monopole. So if we generate other type of materials, including concrete, wood, and other material. So to generate, you can generate it, but however, we don't do the verification for other materials. The only material we verify as for now is the steel. So we can verify only the steel material. Yes, so one asked the question, do we support the Canadian code? Yes, the answer is yes. So the codes that we support is the American code, so including the TIA 22G and H. We also support the S37, the 2018. This is for telecommunication towers. And for transmission tower, we also support the ISC 10. And for monopoles, we support the same codes for telecommunication towers. For transmission towers, we support the American code ISC 48 for tubular transmission poles. So I am checking the questions. There is another question here. So generate angular profile library or different size for the leg. So I think if I understand well, you are asking if we can use it's like a built-up section. Yes, the built-up sections you can create. We have the default section that we support for the latticed towers that we do the verification automatically are angles and the circular section, HSS. So angle include the 90 degree angle and the double angle and the star angle. We also support 60 degree angle. Either it's called formed or rolled, so this both sections are supported. But if you want to use, we have a client that he use also built-up sections. So if you want to use a built-up section specifically for lattice towers, so for example, if you open this one, you can create a built-up section, and the built-up section are available here. So if you go to sections and you go to built-up section, you can create your built-up section using our new SAFI section builder. So the section builder allows you to pick any section or create your custom section manually. So you can, for example, add different section, position them the way you want. You can even add some reinforcements. For example, here I add let's say a plate like this one. So oh, this is too thick, but let's just delete this one. And for example, let's let's add another, for example, double angle here. So you can create your built-up section using the SAFI section builder, and after that, when you save it, you can specify. You can calculate the properties of the section, so you can calculate it automatically. And after that, if you want to do the verification of this section, in this case, you need to, and you need will not be using the S37 for the case of Canadian code, or the TAA22H for the US code. Will be using the LRFD code or the S16 code. So we'll use this code, but you can specify, you need to specify the classification of this section. So for compression and bending, and also the slenderness ratio, and they specify this parameters that are required to be able to check this section properly. So that's one way to do that. Let me see if we have other question. So one question asks if the reports show the ratio of the structure and the reactions for the foundation information. So for the foundation for latticed tower, you just remind everyone, so you should be able to display the footing load right from here. So you can display the footing load. So and we can also display so we can display it for so we'll have it right away from here, and basically from that you can extract the load. We don't add it to the report automatically. You can add this table to the report, but we don't maybe it's not exactly in the same way that you presented it. There is another question. Did the software could build a family manager, so one lattice tower could be mixed with many legs and bodies, so it would combine and design all in one just model? So for now, the auto generation only we support, like for the legs, just the regular sections. You can create a built-up section if you need to, but you still have all the features to edit the tower manually. So after you generate the tower, you can replace the section or add new members. The only thing is, when you do any changes, to specify this the proper tower parameters to design them correctly. So for example, you assign them to the right phase for wind. You also specify the type of member, and also if you have connection that you wanna design, you assign them manually. So that's the manual part that you have all the SAFI features to use to modify the existing tower. So there is a question related to the unit system. So the unit system, so we have you can use a metric or imperial unit system, but you can also personalize the units that you have here. So you can customize all the units as you wish, and you can save them as a default unit, so you can reuse them for next models. And another question, the question regarding the splice plate check for double shear connection for eccentricity. So the only splice that we check are the angle splice, and those are the type of splice that we support. For now, just the angles that we support. We don't support any other type of section. So another question, does it generate palm or tree type monopoles? As for now, we don't do that, but that's a good idea. That's something maybe we can add in the upcoming feature. So I think I covered all the questions, and we even passed 10 minutes after the limit of the time of this webinar. So before closing, I would love to invite you to visit this link. You can also subscribe to receive new updates. We'll try to in the upcoming months to do more webinars to cover the new features that we are adding continuously to TSE to improve the software. And you can also give us a feedback if you have any suggestion. We would love to hear back from you, so it will help us implement them and also help you do your work the best way possible. So thank you everyone for coming today to this webinar, and we'll talk to you in the next one. So have a good day, everyone.